All right. Okay. Welcome on in. Seems that most of the college football is wrapping up at this time, and we're ready to get a post game coverage going for y'all. I put a time on this one. I didn't want to be doing it at like 4 a.m. or something crazy like that. I don't know what I just did. Welcome on in. College football tonight. Here, week number, what is this, 14 in college football. We'll have the NFL show has been postponed to tomorrow morning. We'll get it out. You know, it's just been a long week for us here. We've had a lot to deal with outside here of college football and the NFL. But let's get right into the action today. Any of the stories that we got to get to. Uh, let's get right into it. We started the day really the big matchups being the Wisconsin Indiana game, and then we had a BYU Coastal Carolina game as well that ended up really getting scheduled really late, and then it ended up being a pretty good game that we had today. I don't really have time to watch that as much as I would have if it was a week with less games than we had today. All right, let's get into today's real uh, lineup of games. We started the day with a game, Texas A&M Auburn. Of course, probably all of you have seen that Bo Nix highlight where he just makes a miraculous touchdown play and saves that game for Auburn. Unfortunately, they just didn't show up in the fourth quarter. Texas A&M winning 21 or 31 to 20. My bad. All right, Texas taking a K-State. Texas, obviously, the favorite in this one. And I don't know, K-State's defense, I just don't know where it was. 69 to 31 for Texas today. Ohio State got a big win over Michigan State. They're missing a lot of players today. 52 to 12, they get Michigan next week. And of course, that Michigan game should be a solid game that we get for you next Saturday on Fox. All right, let's keep going with scores from earlier today. TCU getting the win over Oklahoma State 29-22. Rice defeats Marshall 20 to nothing. Penn State over Rutgers. Carolina over Western Carolina. Missouri over Arkansas. Nebraska 37 to 27 over Purdue. Texas Tech 16 to 13 over Kansas. And that was pretty much all we had from the early window of games. Then we go to the middle of the day. Notre Dame taking on Syracuse. Syracuse really got a good start, but they eventually could not stop Ian Book, and the Irish 45 to 21 win for Notre Dame over Syracuse. I mean, really, Syracuse is just bad, you know. They just kind of are. Uh, we'll get to the featured game in just a moment. Iowa State over West Virginia, 42 to 6. This Iowa State team is definitely a team that's not bad at all. They hold the West Virginia team to 6 points. That's pretty good. And to score 42, that's probably the high point of their season offensively. Florida got the win over Tennessee, 31 to 19. Tulsa over Navy, 19 to 6. Stanford over Washington, 31 to 26. So the Pac-12 North really taking a hit today, and they're beating each other up there. Alrighty, the game that a lot of us said was probably one of the best games of the week. Indiana and Wisconsin. Of course, Michael Penix Jr. out for the season with a torn ACL. They bring in the backup today. But fortunately for Indiana's defense is legit, I guess. I mean, 14-6, that's a classic Big Ten score. Indiana really has been one of the teams in the last decade where the defense really has been a step behind today. And also last week, Wisconsin has looked very poor. Uh, actually, it was 2 weeks ago for Wisconsin. Wisconsin didn't play last week. I remember who it was. The Northwestern Wisconsin game when Wisconsin. I don't know what happened to their offense. They the strength of schedule has obviously increased. They played a Northwestern team and an Indiana team. Prior to that, we just saw them against an Illinois team, and a while later against a Michigan team. Really, we have only seen 4 games on this Wisconsin team. 2 of them against kind of bad teams, just beating up on them, and then the last 2 against, I mean, pretty decent teams that are contenders. Their offense has just stalled, and I really don't know what to say about the Wisconsin team. All right, Indiana next week will get their rival in Purdue. The Vanderbilt and Georgia game was canceled, or postponed rather. It'll be made up in 2 weeks. BYU, Coastal Carolina. This game was scheduled very, very recently. Of course, BYU having to make that cross-country trip on short notice. Not going to be an easy thing to do. Coastal Carolina getting the win, 22-17. They had a lot of control of the ball and stopped BYU from getting what they're gonna do. San Jose State stays undefeated with the win over Hawaii, 35-24. Of course, San Jose State's game with Boise State was canceled last week. Oregon and Cal in prime time. Cal with the win over Oregon. Oregon now at 3-2 in the Pac-12, and they're pretty much out of that. The Pac-12 North seems like it'll. I really don't know who's going to win that Pac-12 North. But in the South, you got Colorado at 4-0 now for the win over Arizona. San Diego State over Colorado State 29-17. Clemson over Virginia Tech 45-10. Kentucky over South Carolina 41-18. And Miami over Duke 48-0. Currently have some action going on as the time of me recording. Oklahoma Baylor has just gone final. Oklahoma winning it 27-14. Alabama just dominant over LSU. They're going to win that one with just 2 minutes or so to go. 55-17 is the current score. Nevada Fresno State still a good game. UCLA Arizona State on FS1. Oregon State Utah. I mean, Utah looks like they're ahead 13 right now. Still plenty of action to come tonight. And, you got. Alright, I don't know what I'm doing right now. Um, we'll get to our 3 winners of the day right here. But I want to remind you that our college football playoff rankings show every Tuesday night. We'll have it right here on the channel. Tuesday night, 6 Central, that's 7 Eastern, that's 4 p.m. Pacific, of our college football playoff top 25. I really don't think we're going to see any moves in that top 6. All those teams getting the wins they needed. But it'll be interesting to see how the Pac-12 is treated after this week. And of course, the Big Ten. You got a team in Indiana. How do they get treated after beating a a Wisconsin team, which we really don't have much tape on them. And I really think Iowa Wisconsin next week. I don't know what to expect in that game. Again, we'll have all those TV assignments coming out tomorrow. You can go to my website. I will be posting some of that stuff when that comes out. I don't know. Last week, the TV, we had that late on Sunday night. This week, hopefully, we get it in a slightly faster fashion than last week. Let's get you these three winners of the day. All right. Okay, we're gonna limit it this week to just one per conference. So we'll definitely have one out of the Pac-12 being Stanford. They came out really strong and exerted their it wasn't dominance, but they showed that they were going to keep fighting, even though their home county or whatever kicked them out, I believe. So they had to really scramble to get a place to play, and they go up and they beat Washington. I think uh, really when you get out of that college town, maybe the distractions got reduced. I don't know what it was, but a win is a win. All right, second winner of the day got Iowa State in the Big 12. Uh, you know, when you win by a margin of 36 points over a team that has a winning record, it's always going to be a really good win for you. I think Iowa State has had pretty much a good game every week ever since they lost to Louisiana to open the season. It was a very bad game to open the season. They could have won it, and then they lost to Oklahoma State, which I think that game their offense was just shuttered. Oklahoma State, credit to them, got it done in that great environment down in Stillwater. So Iowa State will be going to the Big 12 championship. And Oklahoma can get themselves there, I believe, with just another win next week. But that'll be interesting to see how that gets set up, and we'll see who actually gets there. So we've got football going on Friday night. ASU Arizona be 6 o'clock Central on ESPN, and Utah Colorado primetime on FS1 Friday night. And then of course we will have good football games. I believe North Carolina and Miami is scheduled. That's always a good one. Cincinnati, Tulsa. Winner will host the American Championship. You've got UCLA and Utah, or UCLA and USC rather. You got Oklahoma, West Virginia. You've got so much other action for us to keep on cheering for. You got Iowa, Wisconsin. You've got Illinois, Northwestern. So many great rivalries in the Big Ten going to be reunited. But again, all those things should be finalized tomorrow. And I didn't get to our third winner yet. I had the Pac-12 team and a Big 12 team. I'll say my third winner is going to be Indiana getting the road win against Wisconsin. It's never easy to play in Wisconsin, and I think a lot of people wrote off this Indiana team. They're just after they got, you know, they couldn't get it done over Ohio State. That it was just Ohio State really playing bad, but it was actually Indiana playing really well. I think this is This is a quality team, Indiana. We'll see how they do come the postseason. And, we're going to have at least two good games in the Big Ten postseason, whoever Ohio State plays and whoever Indiana plays. I mean, those two games are going to be must-see TV. And I think Iowa, with a win next week over Wisconsin, would be in that conversation to play a Big Ten East team. To be announced, to be determined. We'll have all that stuff announced later. Um, but I think it's just important to stay tuned. Keep on watching and listening for these updates this week. Not as many cancellations as the previous weeks we had. We had an SEC game get postponed this week. Two Big Ten games, but I think the Pac-12 got them all in. Not yet, because there's still one tomorrow night. Washington State taking on USC. That's tomorrow night on FS1. So five. There's been three Pac-12 games completed, two going on as we speak, and one more tomorrow night. There's still a lot of football next week. Big Ten will have a full slate. Pac-12 will have a full slate. Then you got makeup games in the rest of the conferences, the Big 12, SEC, and ACC, and will all culminate in championship weekend on December the 19th. So I think what's going to be interesting about next week is you don't have. I think we will have a lot of SEC games still next week, but the heavier focus is going to be in the Big Ten and the Pac-12. Not really the Pac-12 because we've already written them off. We're going to see how Ohio State plays next week, and if that Ohio State-Michigan game is a go, really Michigan has nothing to lose in that game. You put it all out on the line, all on the table. You don't have anything to lose. Your season's just one of the worst it's been in a few decades at Michigan. And in a rivalry game, it's always going to be close for a while. And I really don't know what to expect from this Michigan team. We saw week one, great performance against Minnesota. It's not like the Minnesota team they were last year, but there's still a Minnesota team that can cause them trouble. And that's why I was really looking forward to Northwestern Minnesota today. Of course, Minnesota had a lot of COVID issues, and that game couldn't be played. Some Big Ten teams have had like half their schedule taken away. Wisconsin's played 4 games so far. Well, teams like Iowa and Penn State, they've played a full schedule so far. They could be playing 9 games this year. That's pretty much equal to the other conferences. But it just so happened to be that Ohio State has had 2 games already taken off their schedule, and there's going to have to be a lot figured out with Ohio State if the Michigan game is a no-go. But I think they can get it to go. I think they can get it done. Just as Ohio State played today, shorthanded. We'll have a good game next week. Again, hope y'all enjoy the rest of your weekend. We hope to see you next Saturday for more college football. Stay tuned to the Twitters of the world to stay up to date. The latest going on around college football. Till next time.